You are in week 3 of the Bully-Proof Classroom, and we're going to be talking about how we can develop good listening skills. And this is critical because victims of bullying need someone who listens well. And in order to be a good listener, we have to understand what the levels of listening are. So let's take a look at those. First of all, people, not only bullies, but people in general, suffer from what's called a cognitive bias. In other words, they hear what they want to hear. We can say they hear things differently, but really it's them hearing what they want. So that first one, let's eat, comma, mommy. The next one is, let's eat mommy. One comma that gets removed changes the entire statement. One's you're asking a question or you're making a emphatic statement, and the other one is, it sounds like you want to eat your mother. Even though we know that's something that's could never, well, I don't think it could happen, but the bottom line is that comma makes a difference. And people who have a cognitive bias, who hear what they want, will always stick a comma where it doesn't belong. So, what are the levels of listening, or the types of listening? Number one, ignoring. Now, we don't mean to ignore, but we do it. Our mind is in another place. It's on another planet. It's somewhere else. It's not paying attention. It's looking down the hall, looking at our feet, looking at our watch, looking at our cell phone. It's all of these things. And people know that we're ignoring them. Ask sometimes for someone to repeat back to them what they said to you, and you'll discover, and don't be insulted, that they can't. Next one is pretend listening. This is what we do when we're on the phone with someone and we want to get off and they don't. Right, got it, I understand. You know, sometimes husbands are good at this. They're involved at work or they're involved doing something else, and they give the impression that they're listening when they're really not, until they get taken to task and have their feet put to the fire. Next one is selective listening. And this is what we do with a 3-year-old. Because if you listen to everything a 3-year-old had to say, you go out of your mind. So you wait for the blood-curdling scream, then you start listening. That blood-curdling scream often comes when the phone rings. Next one is attentive listening. This is where our mind is in the game. We are paying attention. We got our mind and our eyes and our ears focused, but our comprehension's not real good. And then we have empathic listening. And this is where we want to be with the victims of bullying. We want to feel their pain. We want to be someone who they can come to and share their pain with, and we can listen to them, and we can reflect back. We can mirror. We don't offer advice. We don't probe. You know, we're not trying to read our own autobiography into their life. We are practicing empathic listening, and we're right where they are, and we are not listening to respond. We are listening truly to understand. Now, what we want to do with this is we want to create our own bullying story. And if you read the blocks on the slide, describe a time when someone's words or behavior hurt you, or you may have hurt someone else, or when you saw something and didn't do anything about it, or when you saw something and you did do something about it and tried to stop it. You want to write your own bullying story. And you want to share this with someone else. And then you want them to share with you. And the two of you, as you get together, you have to answer these questions. Did your mind wander? What was your language in terms of your response? Did you only focus on information that you could relate to and look to respond? Most people do this. They hear a story and they're listening about 30%, and they're waiting to hear something that they can hang their hat on, and then they respond. That's what most people do, because they want to be they believe that being part of the conversation is contributing to it. And with kids who are being bullied, they need empathic listening, which means we don't need to contribute or offer advice or anything like that. We just need to be an empathic listener. And lastly, did you feel attentive but not understand, or did you actually have an image in your mind of the events that were relevant to the conversation and really try to reflect and understand? So this is an activity that you're going to do. You can do this in your classroom. You can do it at a faculty meeting. It's something that if you do this, you're going to discover what type of listener you are, and it's also something that you can use maybe even to get things off your chest. So what we want to do is we want to practice effective listening skills. These are your questions. These are the topics that you're going to write about. And here are your listening skills. Remember, our job is to be what? Empathic listeners. We want to be empathic listeners. Understand that cognitive bias. Understand that when you put things down on paper, or when you're saying something, or when you're saying something fast, the entire meaning of it could change. And our goal through the whole process is to become a good listener.